Hi, I'm Dr. Ray Kadkhodaian,
And I'm Jean Kadkhodaian.
and we are the co-founders of Couples Synergy. Couples Synergy is a program that Jean and I founded almost 16 years ago now. It is designed to help couples reconnect with each other so that their relationship gets to the point of being happy, healthy, and wonderful.
The way that we work with couples is we analyze their relationship dance of how they have come together, and because of the law of attraction they know how to do that, but it's very unconscious or reactive. And then we teach them skills of how to interact in a different way so they're more powerful and aware of what they're doing and connecting at a deeper level.
Nobody is doing Couples Synergy. Couples Synergy is an amalgamation of cutting edge research when it comes to couples work. Right? Couples Synergy was born from an observation that Jean and I had back in the day. We used to do traditional couples counseling in working in the field, and we found that traditional couples counseling, the way that's conducted by one therapist, is ineffective.
In fact, you did your dissertation on that.
I did. Found that traditional couples counseling, has the worst success rate across the board of all therapies. Most traditional couples counseling is done by one therapist. 80 to 90% of therapists in the field are female. The majority of couples work is usually started by the female in the relationship. And so right off the bat, when the couple walks in the door, the gender balance is biased.
One of the things that we talk about is the thing we call the Jerry Springer effect. And the reason people go on Jerry Springer and they tell all their business is because they think they're right. And when a couple first comes in, that's what they do. And we know that they're not right. We know every relationship is a 50-50, and there's either going to be two winners or two losers. There is not, like, they try to jockey to get the therapist on their side, but that'll actually break a couple up.
The first session, they can expect that both of us are in the room together. That is something that most couples, when they walk in, they say that, wow, I didn't know both of you are going to be there. Another thing that they say that they didn't expect was the fact that we're a married couple, right? Which is a very important factor here in our success in the work that we do. We cannot teach it if we don't live it.
Yeah, we also have a very systematic way of assessing a couple. So they come in and there's really specific things we want to know about them. And by the end of that, we give them almost a report of, here's what we're seeing, here's the health of where you guys are at, and this is what we're going to do to take you guys to where you need to go and what we're going to teach you.
That's a great question. One of the things that I had said to Jean when we first started this program was that we wanted to change the field. And we wanted to change the way that, couples are seeking help. And that's kind of what we want to do. The larger goal is really to bring this to the greater public. We can only do so much seeing one couple at a time. And we've worked with thousands of couples over the 15, 16 years now that we've been in business. But our goal is to take it to a grander scale, right? To be able to teach a lot of these skills to the masses.
There's not a lot of training in the field in doing couples work. There's just there hasn't been a lot of study around it. There's a few theories out there, and a lot of therapists do a lot of cookie cutter stuff. But really, we get wounded through relationship and we heal through relationship. But nobody teaches us how to do that healing. And a lot of people will say to us, I wish they would teach us in high school. But you can't learn it in high school because you have to really be in a longer term relationship before you can learn and understand that within yourself. And so we also want to teach other therapists how to work in a more impactful way with couples.
Yeah, it's a good point that Jean brings up. Most people in the general public don't know that there isn't specialization for couples work. There is a degree in marriage and family therapy, but other than that, most therapists that do couples work are generalists, and they work with a lot of different populations and different structures, family, individual work, but we work strictly with couples, and that is what the crux of our work has been. Well, I think that divorce is much more expensive. I mean, cheeky, but really, one thing that couples will benefit from, regardless of whether they're on the fence of getting divorced or they're just looking for, kind of rejuvenation in their relationship, is that you only know what you know. And so if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same kind of results. And in their relationship, just like anything in life, you need to learn new things. You need to experience new things. And with that comes more joy and more synergy.
You know, as human beings, we see outward. We can't see like this, right? And so a couple, even if they are, you know, right at the divorce place or really have already decided to be divorced, it's still really beneficial because you can't really know yourself unless you have that reflection and you've done all that work of finding a partner and getting into a really bad place to begin with. You might as well learn what they came here to teach you, and it will change the way that you know yourself, and like Ray was saying, the joy that you have, but also every other relationship. Well, we always tell people that the marriage is not our primary goal. Our primary goal is that both people become whole and healthy people, and that might mean that the marriage isn't the thing that is contributing to that for someone, and we are absolutely okay with that outcome.
Our premise, and we work from the premise that each person in the couple is 50% responsible for the condition of the relationship. And so nothing changes in the relationship unless each person takes responsibility for what they put into it.
You know, doing this work, people are always like, you sit and listen to people's problems all day, but you really don't. What you do is you help them find solutions to all those things, and it's such a passionate way to live your life, and I'm so glad that we do this work.
We are really honored to do the work that we do. We hear people's deepest, darkest secrets. We hear people's deep intricacies, right, and insecurities. And to be a partner in that, to help them on their journey, is such an awesome thing to do. And we would love to be able to do that for many more people that we can do that.
All over the world.
All over the world, right. Well, as we've said that we've been doing this program for 16 years now, we've been able to be along the journey of so many couples, from them trying to decide whether they're going to get married, to having their first child, to, maybe, bearing one of their parents, just all these life transitions and journeys that we've been able to share with the couples that we've worked with. And that has been really an amazing thing to be part of.
I always kind of describe it like this. Like, let's say you're asleep in a really warm room and it's dark and you hear the scratching in the corner. And it wakes you up, you hear the scratching, and you turn the light on and there's an opossum. You can't just turn the light back off and go to sleep, right? So when people come to see us, they're like sleeping like that. And when you're in a relationship, you wake up and you see the opossum and you say to your partner, wake up, wake up. And they say, shut up, I'm sleeping, And that's kind of what happens in relationships. One is always going to learn something sooner, and the other person is going to be afraid of change or not in agreement with that. And so once people work with us, it opens them up. It wakes them up in all aspects of their life. And that's why we have people who have been working with us since the beginning of our company, because they don't want to go backwards. And everything alive is either growing or dying.
So the feedback we get from people is amazingly positive, and they feel like we are just part of their family.
So I was working for a community mental health center, and Ray came on a couple months after I was working there, and my partner at the time, we both thought he was real cute. And he didn't really, we talked a lot after work, but he never asked me out. And so I was a single mom at the time. My son was 9, and I kind of really let my guard down because I thought, oh, we're just friends, And I had moved 11 times with my son, and I had just bought a condo, and I told my son, we're never moving again. We have this place now. And I had always made this dream to myself that when I got my own place, I would put in a saltwater tank. I've always had fish tanks, but I always had fresh water because I moved a lot. So I got my saltwater tank, and I would tell him about it.
So Jean doesn't remember this, but the first time that I saw her was when I was interviewing at the Community Mental Health Center. So I walked in the door, I met my soon-to-be supervisor. I saw Jean walking down the hallway, and I immediately was drawn to her. I thought, wow, look at her, she looks so cute. And so, she's talking about her partner, it's her work partner that she was working with in residential counseling. I was hired on to do job counseling. And so we had offices across the hall from each other. And so after work, there was a couple cases that we kind of shared. And so we would have to talk to each other professionally. But then after work, sometimes I'd kind of hang out in her office and we'd chat and everything. And then she told me about her fish tank. And so I put a little note in her mailbox like, hey, when am I going to be able to come over and see that cool fish tank?
That's a good approach.
That was a good approach, right?
We were married on Valentine's Day on accident. That was not our plan.
Right.
Our plan was actually to get married February 21st, which was our 1-year dating anniversary. But the church wasn't available. And so for whatever reason, Valentine's Day was open.
Available on Valentine's Day.
And, red is my favorite color, so our colors are red and black. Mm-hmm. And
this is
1 week short of a year of us dating, we got married.
Way before couple synergy or even the Lighthouse
Mm-hmm.
was even an idea in our mind.
I think that, my parents had a very traditional marriage. My dad worked, my mom literally was barefoot and pregnant. She has 9 kids. And my life looks nothing like her life. So who prepares us for marriage? And society also used to have these roles, right? So you would you would know what was expected of you. And now relationships are set up in tons of different ways with stay-at-home dads and all sorts of things there's no template for them. And so in the same way that, a woman in the 1940s or so could only be a nurse or a teacher or a nun, now women can do anything, right? And the same thing is true with what society dictates for us. So we really have to know ourselves at a much deeper level in order to be able to decide that, because every decision we make is based on how we feel.
Mm-hmm. I think one other complication and factor is that the blended family is the largest family structure in America today. And so with that brings about more complications, more intricacies that have to be navigated because the work schedule has changed as well. Both parents now have to bring in an income as well to survive. So how do they handle the tasks that are necessary in order to have a successful family?
I would actually like to change the word of a broken family to a stretched family. And even the way divorce is it's much more common now to have shared custody as opposed to one person having custody and the other person just visiting. And I think men are so much more involved in the families than they ever have been, and women are busier in their own lives besides just their children. And so all those things require the number one reason people come in to see us, which is communication. And you can't communicate with another person if you can't communicate within yourself.
One of the things that we say to people is that when do you go see a personal trainer? Some people go to see a personal trainer because they want to run a marathon and they need to know what's necessary in order to get to that step, right? Some people are seeing a personal trainer because they want to get off the couch and they want to start moving and they want to change their body, or they're having physical problems, that they need to learn how to manage. So couples come to us in many different phases of their relationship. We do have couples that come in and things are going well in their relationship, but they want something more. They want to see a different perspective. They want to inject new passion into their relationship. And so we give them tools to be able to reconnect with that.
And especially when something comes up, people have different life stressors. Maybe they're changing jobs, or they're having trouble with their children, or there's an illness or something like that. And we don't know how we're going to respond in a situation that we haven't been in, and then you make it more complicated because your partner also has to go through that, but they have a completely different version. And so it's like Ray was saying earlier, it's such an honor to be that for people, that when you feel really stuck in your life and you don't know where to turn, that you have someone that you trust that you can turn to. And we've been that for so many people, and it's such an honor. I don't know what other word to use. I would say there's a few categories of times that people are really struggling with something in their lives. And the first one is adjusting to having a child. That is, especially for millennials that are really used to things kind of coming towards them. And now one of them has suddenly more responsibility and the other one doesn't want to always step it up. And so we see a lot of people in their early 30s that are adjusting to, how do you work and raise kids and have a relationship? And a lot of those people, they give everything to their kids and they stop giving to their relationship. And the second period of time that we really see is when kids leave the house. And then, we usually get these couples in and they're like, we love each other, we want to be together, we're just not thriving and we're not that happy and we've been so busy and our focus of our kids is gone now. And so now what? And they want to learn how to relate at a deeper level. Those are the two main things I would say that we see the most.
Yeah. A lot of the guys that I meet with, they're heavy into their business or heavy into corporate structure. One of the analogies I use is that your business, they do tune-ups. They have meetings, right? Strategy meetings. They sit down, they figure out where are we at, where do we want to go, and what are the steps necessary to actually get there. But most people don't apply that to their relationship and to their marriage. A marriage is an ever-evolving thing. Especially when two people come into the room, that is a couple, they actually become one entity. It's called the couple personality. And so that is a living, breathing thing that needs to be nurtured. It needs to be fed, and you need new things in order to do that.
So the number one reason couples divorce is they lack a common vision of the future. And so when you talk about companies and they're setting visions and they're setting goals and they are using that to guide them into the future, couples don't do that. They go to school and they get jobs and they get married and they have children, and now what? And they're so bad at the now what, and they lack the ability to dream again, which is what you do when you form a relationship. You're just sitting there going, oh, and we could go, on our honeymoon to Hawaii and we're gonna have this house, we're gonna have all this, but then they get all that and then they're at now what? And then now what is what kills a relationship if you can't answer that question.
One thing that I really want everyone out there to know, that is that every therapist, every counselor, every relationship coach is not the same. And so really do due diligence and talk to the person that you'd like to work with, all right? Even if it's not us, that's fine. We'd love for you guys to work with us. But if you're looking for someone to help you with your relationship and your marriage, ask them about their relationship, their marriage. Are they happy, right? What are some of the struggles and challenges that they go through? Because one of the things that we talk about with our couples are some of the challenges that we run into, some of the conflicts that we run into, right? And how we solve that. Because, it's kind of self-serving, doing couple synergy, because not only do we get to help other couples, but we also help our own relationship, just by doing this work, living it every single day.
One of the questions we get a lot is, do we fight? And we do. We fight actually quite a bit. And we think it's a great skill, and it's a if you think about anger is like fire, and fire goes and takes out all the dead stuff and all the overgrown stuff, and it creates this fertile soil for new life, right? And so we fight about the couples we work with. We fight at a lot of different levels, and to me, that is, couples who are not really communicating, they're not fighting either. They're not really doing much. And the development of our relationship is getting to a point, you talk about that there is no answer to what's out here, and our relationship has gotten to this really, really high level that it is safe, it is secure, it is so much fun. We spend a ton of time together and we love it, and it's to have that connection like that is, I think, a sacred thing for a human being to have. And you can learn it. We didn't know this. We were in bad relationships before we met, and we work really hard on our relationship, and everything that we teach people, we've lived through.
Well, one thing I'd like to say is that I want to thank all of you for listening to our podcast and watching our video podcast. It is a wonderful journey for Jean and I, and this is something that is really close to our heart. It is a very personal thing for us to have started Couple Synergy. It helps our relationship as much as we help other people's relationships. And humbly, that's exactly what we want to do in this
One
world.
of the things that contributes to living a really whole and happy life is our relationships. And we do get wounded through our relationships, and we heal through our relationships. And we would just love to be able to teach people how to continue to grow through all those rough spots. You know, one of the things I always say is, you know what fertilizer is made of? And that's what makes things grow. And to let the stuff in your life that's painful help you become something really great.